Good evening. Ms. Brickman, Tippy, and members of this Charleston County Bar Association. One of my friends that I've known for many, many years, Michael Brickman, who could not be here tonight, asked me to say a few words in memory of his father. And I told Michael that I would be very proud to do so. I also told Michael that I hoped that my words would do Mr. Brickman justice. It seems like only yesterday that I saw Mr. Brickman coming towards me, walking down Broad Street. As he approached, I saw one of the finest, most dapper gentlemen with a sweet smile and a twinkle in his eye. He would ask how my family and how I was doing. And after exchanging a few words and catching up with one another, he would always end our conversations with, "Chuck, what can I do for you?" And you know what? In my speaking with others, I'm told that he always ended their conversations the same way, with the same offer, "What can I do for you?" When I used to compliment Mr. Brickman on how handsome he was and how he looked so tasteful and well coordinated, brightly colored suits, tie, and matching pocket square, he would tell me, "You know, Chuck, you could look like me if you want to. All you have to do is buy a suit from Jack Brickman's father's, Sam Brickman." And as Mr. Brickman grew older, over the years, his eyes were failing him. But you know what? He could always spot a loose thread from at least 10 yards away. Recently, Mr. Brickman summoned me to his law office and said he had something personal to talk to me about. And I was a little bit concerned because Mr. Brickman and I used to handle many, many cases together. Over the years, he would refer personal injury and workers' comp cases to me, so I knew he wanted to talk about one of our cases. So I went over to him, and Mr. Brickman was sitting at his desk, and he pulled out a large bag of brightly colored ties. And he said, "Chuck, you know what you look like and you dress like an old man? I want you to start wearing one of these ties." And he insisted that I wear those ties. And Ms. Brickman, I'm wearing one of Jack's ties tonight. So you may wonder why am I devoting this much of my limited 5 minutes to honor Mr. Brickman by discussing things such as clothes and personal items. And the reason I'm doing that is because we all knew that Mr. Brickman was a very highly skilled, professional, well-respected, intelligent, and well-educated attorney. But he was also very kind, considerate, humorous, and full of character. Mr. Brickman was born and raised in Charleston and worked at his father's clothing store, Sam Brickman's, before he graduated from high school. It was this humble background and being raised in a loving, nurturing, and religiously observant family that helped create the wonderful, loving, caring, and personable gentleman that he was, the gentleman that we all knew and loved. He had an amazing wit and sense of humor, and he treated each individual and each client with deep respect and individualized concern and care. Many of his clients could not even afford to pay him for his services, but instead would bring him plenty of fruit and vegetables that his family, including 6 children, used to enjoy eating. Even though Mr. Brickman was a solo practitioner and worked very long, hard hours, he was always home for dinner, and he and his wife, Faye, always had plenty of time over the last many, many years to participate in all of their 6 children's activities, including their academic, athletic, and social events. There's absolutely no way to fully cover the broad range of activities and contributions that Mr. Brickman gave to his family, the synagogue, community, clients, and profession in this limited time. I did, however, want to give you a glimpse into his personality and his character. We all know that he was a man that was held in highest esteem in all the facets of his life. I never recall his ever saying anything like, "You know, Chuck, I remember those good old days." He never said that. You know why? Because he's always lived in the present. Up until the very last time of his years he was practicing law, and he lived up to 95 years, he worked in his office. And as you can all probably remember, his legal assistant, Wilma stayed by his side and continued to work in his office for as many, many years. He was not only a philanthropist. By writing a check, Mr. Brickman also devoted his time, counsel, energy to many of the local and worldwide organizations that he supported. He graduated from the College of Charleston with a Bachelor of Science degree and then immediately enlisted in the U.S. Army Air Corps after the attack on Pearl Harbor. During World War II, Mr. Brickman proudly served as combat in the Pacific Theater, where he participated in the invasion of the Marshall Islands and achieved the rank of captain. After World War II, Mr. Brickman returned to Charleston and in 1946 married his childhood sweetheart, Faye Brickman. He attended the University of Virginia Law School, where he graduated in 1949. Mr. Brickman was a member of the Scholastic Honor Society, the Order of the Coif, and also served as a distinguished member of the Virginia Law School Law Review. Mr. Brickman practiced law on Broad Street for 65 years. 65 years. He also engaged in many local real estate ventures and other businesses. In addition to his active practice of law, he served as president of many local organizations, including the Jewish Community Center, Charleston Jewish Federation, Beth Shalom Beth Israel Synagogue, South Carolina Association of B'nai B'rith Lodges, and you know what? He even was the president of the Rivers High School PTA. Mr. Brickman was an active member of the Charleston County Bar Association, American Bar Association, Hebrew Benevolent Society, and the Hebrew Orphans Society. Giving back to this community was of paramount importance to Jack Brickman, as evidenced by the countless local charities he supported up until his passing at age 95. In 2005, when then Mayor Riley, he issued a proclamation naming August 21st, 2005 as Jack and Faye Brickman Day, when Mr. Brickman was bestowed the cherished honor of the Crown of the Good Name Award, one of the most distinguishing high rewards anybody could receive for the devotion to the Charleston community. Mr. Brickman was survived by his wife of 70 years, Faye Brickman, as well as his 6 children. Many of you know his son, Michael, and his daughter-in-law, Tippy Stern Brickman. In closing, I'd like to quote just as part of the eulogy that Mr. Brickman's son, Stephen, said at his funeral. Jack Brickman was our shining star who lit our way, an amazing 95-year-old with his 70-year-old romance, an incredible role model to all of us. A man who worked his entire life with joy and thankful heart until the day that he died. A man who never grumbled or complained, and his only regret in life was that he didn't have 2 more children. A man who rarely spent a day in the hospital. He refused to be sick or miss a family or community event. A man of deep faith, a lover of beauty, art, music, a man who loved deeply and sang an incredible melody of joy and generosity to all who knew him. We thank Mr. Brickman for his many years of service to this organization and to the community. May he rest in peace. Thank you.